The night air in Queens, New York, was cold and quiet. It was the early morning of March 13, 1964. The streets of Kew Gardens were empty, streetlights casting long shadows. Most people were asleep, but for one young woman, the night was just beginning, and it would be her last. Her name was Catherine "Kitty" Genovese. She was driving home from her job as a bar manager, her red Fiat gliding through the silent streets. Kitty parked near her apartment, following her usual routine. But this night, a man was watching from the darkness. As she walked toward her building, Winston Moseley emerged from the shadows. Kitty saw him and quickened her pace, her heart pounding. The short walk to her door felt endless. She began to run, keys in hand. Moseley caught up, grabbed her, and she screamed, "Oh my God, he stabbed me, help me!" Her cries echoed through the night. Lights flickered on in the windows above. A man shouted, "Let that girl alone!" Startled, Moseley fled to his car. Kitty, wounded, staggered toward the back entrance, but the door was locked. Alone and bleeding, she was trapped outside. Moseley hadn't gone far. He waited, watching. Seeing no one come to help, he returned. The attack resumed in a secluded area, away from the windows. Kitty's cries faded into the night. The silence returned, but nothing was the same. In those moments, a tragedy unfolded that would echo for decades. The world would soon know her name. Kitty Genovese was more than a victim. She was a vibrant, independent young woman. Born in Brooklyn, the oldest of 5 in a close-knit Italian-American family, she was known for her humor and determination. Kitty stayed in New York when her family moved, drawn to the city's energy. She worked hard, eventually managing a sports bar in Queens. Ambitious, she dreamed of opening her own restaurant. Kitty lived in Kew Gardens with her partner Mary Ann Zelenko, building a life together despite, the times. She loved music, friends, and her red Fiat. Her life was full of promise and connection. Understanding who Kitty was gives weight to the tragedy. She was not just a headline, she was a daughter, a sister, a friend. Remembering her humanity honors her memory. Behind every story is a person whose life mattered. Kitty Genovese's story is about more than her final moments. The attack on Kitty Genovese unfolded in 2 terrifying acts. Shortly after 3:15 a.m., Winston Moseley attacked her as she walked from her car. Her screams were heard by neighbors. One man's shout scared Moseley off. Kitty, injured, managed to reach a locked entryway out of sight. For 10 minutes, there was silence. Neighbors assumed the danger had passed, but Moseley had only circled the block. Seeing no police, he returned, finding Kitty collapsed in a rear hallway. In this secluded spot, he attacked again. Her cries were muffled, the assault more brutal. Some residents heard noises but hesitated, unsure what was happening. Calls to police were delayed by confusion and fear. When help finally arrived, Kitty was barely alive. She died en route to the hospital. The night was a series of missed chances and tragic misunderstandings. The story was never as simple as it seemed. The truth was far more complex. 2 weeks later, Kitty's murder became national news, not for the crime, but for how it was told. The New York Times headline read, "37 who saw murder didn't call the police." The article claimed dozens watched and did nothing, painting a picture of urban apathy. The story shocked the nation, becoming a symbol of moral failure. 38 witnesses became shorthand for indifference. The narrative overshadowed Kitty's life and the real events. The focus shifted from victim and killer to silent bystanders. The myth would shape public perception for decades. For years, the story of 38 silent witnesses was accepted as fact, but later investigations revealed the number was misleading. Many listed as witnesses only heard faint cries or saw nothing at all. No one saw the entire attack from start to finish. The first assault ended when a neighbor intervened. The second happened out of sight. Some did call the police, though help came too late. The neighbors were not heartless. They were confused and afraid. The myth was a product of dramatic storytelling, not reality. The truth is messier. Fear, confusion, and uncertainty shape their actions. Correcting the record doesn't diminish the tragedy. It deepens our understanding. Kitty's story is about human complexity, not simple indifference. While the world debated the bystanders, police searched for Kitty's killer. 6 days later, a burglary investigation led them to Winston Moseley. Moseley confessed to Kitty's murder, as well as other violent crimes. He was a husband and father, living an ordinary life on the surface. But his confession revealed a chilling double life. He described choosing Kitty at random and returning when no one intervened. Moseley was convicted and sentenced to death, later commuted to life in prison. He showed no remorse, even escaping once before being recaptured. Moseley died in prison in 2016, never expressing regret. His case was a stark reminder: evil can hide in plain sight. The city found closure, but the questions lingered. The story was far from over. The myth of the silent witnesses inspired psychologists Bibb Latané and John Darley. They questioned whether apathy was the real explanation. Their experiments revealed the bystander effect. The more people present, the less likely anyone is to help. Diffusion of responsibility and social influence were key factors. People assume someone else will act or look to others for cues. Inaction isn't always about indifference. It's a predictable response to group dynamics. The bystander effect became a cornerstone of social psychology. Kitty's case, though based on a myth, sparked vital research. It forced us to look beyond simple judgments. The real lesson: our actions are shaped by powerful, invisible social forces. Understanding this can help us do better. Kitty Genovese's murder exposed a flaw in emergency response. In 1964, there was no universal number for police or ambulance. Panic and confusion delayed calls for help that night. The tragedy spurred calls for reform. In 1968, 911 was established as the national emergency number. The system saved lives by making help easier to reach. Kitty's story helped create the political will for change. Neighborhood watch programs and public awareness also grew. Her legacy is a safer, more connected community. Out of tragedy came lasting reform. For decades, Kitty's family lived with the myth of her death. Her brother, Bill Genovese, was haunted by the story. Determined to find the truth, he launched his own investigation. Bill's journey became the documentary The Witness. He spoke to neighbors, reviewed records, and even confronted Moseley in prison. Bill learned the story of 38 silent witnesses was a distortion. Some people tried to help, others were paralyzed by fear. His work reclaimed Kitty's humanity from the myth. Bill's quest changed the public conversation, honoring his sister's memory. The truth, though painful, brought understanding and closure. Decades later, Kitty Genovese's story still resonates. It endures because it forces us to ask, what would I have done? The bystander effect shows our actions in crisis aren't always heroic. The story explores the tension between self-preservation and moral duty. It warns of the dangers of isolation and anonymity. Even with the myths corrected, the lesson remains. Help came too late. The 911 system removed barriers, but the choice to act is still ours. Kitty's story is about the fabric of society, what we owe each other. It challenges us to build communities where cries for help are answered. In an increasingly anonymous world, her story is more relevant than ever. The choice to help, or turn away, is one we all may face. Kitty Genovese's legacy is in our hands. Her story reminds us, every life matters, and every action counts.